Catherine's POV. I stared at the triplets in disbelief. Were they seriously considering taking me to the beach for a few days? Do they have any idea how much work it is to have a disabled person with them? That sounds like a great idea, Gray commented from behind me. What do you say? Will you go with us? Gray walked to Colt's side so that I could see him. I hesitated. I don't think it is such a great idea, I said. Why not? Sam asked, pouting. Do you have any idea how much work it is to have a disabled mate? I asked. The triplets stared at me in disbelief, then slowly shook their heads. Ah, I said. You haven't thought of that, did you? I don't understand, Sam said, looking at me as if I had grown 2 heads in mere seconds. Okay, I said, licking my lips. I needed to let them understand why I needed them to reject me in the first place. They had no idea how much work this was. Look at me, I said and gestured to myself, sitting in the chair. But we are, Colt answered. No, Colt, I said. Really look at me. Okay, he answered, still a bit confused. What do you see? I asked. A strong and beautiful woman. Sam started, and I stopped him. Look beyond the mate bond, I growled at him. You are in a wheelchair, Gray whispered, but that doesn't mean. I shook my head and laughed. Guys, I said, and I pushed my wheelchair forward. How are you going to get me inside the beach house? Sam asked. Yes, usually you need to push the wheelchair up a ramp, I said, looking at each of them. Does the place have a ramp? No, Gray answered, shaking his head. Then another issue is, I said, raising my eyebrows, how will I be able to have a bath or shower? That's a minor issue, Colt said. Is it? I asked. My father went and renovated the pack house to let me be able to move around, take a shower on my own, and go to the bathroom. Colt snorted, cutting me off. What's so funny? I asked, getting annoyed. I knew it was a mistake to let them into my life. They wouldn't understand how difficult this whole situation was. Nothing funny, he said, getting serious. I just think you are looking for an excuse not to go with us. I am not, I said, pushing my wheelchair past them. I think you are, Colt said, and I stopped, turned the wheelchair around and looked at him. I was about to lose my temper. This was a mistake, I growled. I should never have let you into my life. You don't understand. Colt smiled at me and walked closer. He squatted down to my level, and I turned my face away from him. Tears were burning behind my eyes. I hated this. I hated hurting them and myself. I can't live like this anymore. Why was I punished like that? Why couldn't I be normal like anyone else? Kate, look at me, Colt said, taking my hand. I refused to. I knew I was stubborn, but it was already hell to fight against the mate bond. Colt carefully turned my face and wiped the spilled tears from my face. You only hold on to the past, he said. This is the future. Trust me. I shook my head as I lifted my gaze to look at him. Sam, I said, you have been in my bedroom. Did you see how much space I need to move around? Sam walked forward and placed his hand on my shoulder. I have seen your room, yes, he said, nodding, but I know for a fact that you will be able to go to the bathroom and move around without any issues with where we are going. What do you mean? I asked, wiping tears from my eyes. He chuckled. Our grandfather was a huge wolf, Gray said, and he built the place. You will easily be able to move around. And we will help you in and out of the bath, Colt said. Just wear a t-shirt and you can take it off when you get inside. I shook my head, listening to the triplets' plans. They had an answer for everything. I still don't think it's a bright idea, I argued. Come on, Sam said. Live a little. It will be fun, Gray chirped. It will do you good, Colt said, getting to his feet. So now you think of my well-being? I said, feeling a new set of tears burn in my eyes. Colt knitted his eyebrows together, searching my gaze. We have always thought of your well-being, he said seriously. Except what would happen if they rejected me. I sighed and took a deep breath. Fine, I said. I will go with you. The triplets jumped in excitement like 5-year-olds. But, I said, and the 3 looked at me, worried. But? Gray found the courage to ask, his brothers glaring at me. They didn't expect me to diffuse their excitement in mere seconds. You will have to ask my father if I can leave, I said. Sam's face fell and he held his breath. I could see Gray swallowing hard against the lump that had formed in his throat, and Colt had this funny look on his face as if he was looking at me to check if I was serious. I was doing this on purpose. I was still Daddy's little girl, and he would not make it easy for the triplets to just remove me from the pack premises. Colt nodded his head, smiling. Very well, he said, pausing. But with one condition. Crap! I lifted an eyebrow, looking at him underneath my eyelashes. Colt had this taunting smile playing at the corners of his lips. He was up to something. Goddess, did I just dig myself a hole? What will that be? I asked, seeing his cold blue eyes darken and making my heart race 1,000 miles per hour. If your father agrees, he said, giving me a taunting smile, you will need to bring that skimpy yellow bikini with you and wear it for us. Shh. Colt's POV. I found my mother in the kitchen, busy baking her famous caramel muffins. Sam asked her if she could bake us some goodies for our trip down to the beach house. I took a deep whiff of the delicious smell and sighed in contentment. It smelled like Kate, and my mouth watered. Morning, Mom, I said, pecked her on the cheek as I passed her, and grabbed a piece of toast. Morning, son, she said, lifting her gaze and searching mine. Her soft blue eyes were pleading. She knew that we had found our mate, but even Sam, our mother's favorite son, was reluctant to tell her any juicy details, which for obvious reasons made her suspicious and curious. I ignored her gaze, grabbed some bacon, and dished some eggs onto my plate. Then I took a seat at the counter. We hadn't been home much, and I knew she was dying to know what was happening. My mother moved to where I sat, placed the dishcloth down, and lifted an eyebrow. How long are you planning to keep your mate a secret? My mother asked. I lifted and turned my gaze, looking over my shoulder and then back at her. Are you talking to me? I asked, acting all innocent with a teasing smile. No, I am talking to the man behind your nose, she said sarcastically, rolling her eyes and crossing her arms around her waist. I am not keeping her a secret, I said. I wasn't completely honest either. I wasn't sure how my parents, especially my mother, would react when they found out that our mate was disabled and in a wheelchair. The other issue was the fact that Kate hadn't accepted us, and explaining that to my parents might just add pressure and create issues. Then when are we meet her? She asked, pinning my gaze. Soon, I said, shifting my gaze to my plate and taking a bite of the eggs. I could feel my mother's gaze pinned on me. She was trying to read me, a technique she acquired while raising 3 triplet boys, which was annoying because that meant she was suspicious about something. My mother raised an eyebrow and was about to say something when Sam walked in with one hell of a bang. Morning, Mom, Sam sang from the kitchen door. He entered, walked around the counter, and kissed her on the cheek. Morning, Sam, she said, eyeing him suspiciously. You look very chirpy today. Of course I would be, he said. I am seeing the love of my life today. You have been seeing her every day since you returned, my mother complained. I haven't even had a proper hour with you. Mom, Gray said as he entreated, you had us for 24 years. Sam and my gaze snapped to Gray, and he quickly changed his wording. Our mate only had us for a couple of days. Are you 3 deliberately not telling me your mate's name? My mother asked. Time to go, I mind-linked my brothers. If my mother corners us all 3 now, she will find a way to make us spill the beans. And I wasn't ready to share. Yeah, Gray said, before she forced us to tell her the truth. But I haven't eaten anything yet, Sam complained. Grab something on your way out, I said, and I got to my feet. Bye, Mom, I said, picking up my plate. I went around the counter, kissed her goodbye, and stalked toward the basin. Where are you going? She called behind me. Bye, Mom, Gray said, cutting her off. See you later, Mother, Sam chirped. Boys, she called after us, and I could hear her sigh. Moments later, we were outside and headed to the parking lot. I started the SUV and waited for my brothers to join me. Gray got in first. Then Sam got in, munching on a muffin. That was bloody close, I said, relieved. Yeah, and she's not planning to stop until we tell her, Sam said with his mouth full. Hey, Gray said, pointing to the muffin. That's for the trip. Yeah, so? I'm hungry, Sam said. Gray tried to snatch the second muffin from Sam, but he popped the whole thing in his mouth. Did they bring the rest of it? I asked, and Sam froze. You didn't, did you? Gray asked, seemingly annoyed. Sam shook his head, and for a moment he looked embarrassed. Then go get it, Sam, Gray said. There's no way I'm going back, Sam said, holding his hands out. She will make me spill the beans. I have been ducking and diving, Mom, every night to keep our secret safe. I looked at Gray. Don't look at me, he said. I almost gave it away. Yeah, I said, slapping him on the back of his head. That was close. What were you thinking? I wasn't, Gray said. That means you need to go, Colt, Sam said. You are best at keeping secrets. I sighed, got out of the SUV, and started to head back to the kitchen. Make sure we have everything, I called out and rushed in. I found David, my 17-year-old brother, in the kitchen, eyeing the muffins. Don't dare touch them, I warned him. Unfair, he complained. Just give me one. Just ask Mom to bake some more. Just did I said as I grabbed a container to pack the muffins in. You know that only works when Sam asks, he said, pooting like a 5-year-old. I chuckled, knowing exactly what he meant by that, grabbed the container, and started packing the muffins. Maybe if you behave and ask nicely, she will bake you some, I said. Ask me what? My mother's voice came from the door, and David rolled his eyes. He and our mother had this love-hate relationship going on. It was now more hate than love, typical for 17-year-olds. David wants to ask if you would bake him some muffins too, I said. My mother looked at him, pulled the container I packed the muffins into, opened it, took out a muffin, and handed him one. Thanks, he said, and he hurried out the door. My mom handed me the container and gave me her signature. I am on to you, look. Thanks, I said, smiling, winking, and turning to leave. Have a safe trip, she said, calling behind me as I reached the door. And behave. Thanks, we will, I said, looking back over my shoulder at her. A sly smile was spread on my mother's lips, and I knew at that moment she wasn't giving up. She was about to do some digging to find out who our mate was. Catherine's POV. I giggled as I held my yellow bikini in my hands. This was going to create so many unnecessary complications, and weirdly, I was excited about it. I rolled my eyes. Colt won. But I still think he cheated somehow. I was a bit disappointed that my father didn't make the triplets sweat. He was too eager to get me out of the pack house, and my mind raced back to yesterday's conversation in my father's office. I was eager to see what my father would say and do, and if he would let me out of his sight. I had taken Colt's hand and shook it in agreement. Then we headed to my father's office. I should have known trouble was coming. Alpha Jones, Colt said as he knocked on my father's office door. We found Jimmy on our way here, and he mind-linked our father and told him that Colt and his brothers wanted to see him. I suddenly wondered if Jimmy had said something, yet he didn't know that the triplets wanted to go to the beach. Come on in, boys, my father called them in, gesturing to them to take a seat. And please call me Duncan. These formalities are not needed in private. I rolled my eyes. My father already took a liking to the triplets, which was a bit annoying yet comforting. I saw that, Colt whispered, and I gave him a confused look. You're rolling your eyes, he explained. What about it? I asked, lifting an eyebrow. I want to spank that beautiful round ass of yours for being disrespectful, he said, and his eyes darkened. His words stirred unknown excitement in me, and I imagined seeing myself being spanked by him. Fuck! I internally swore. My imagination was running wild again, soaking my underwear. Sam chuckled behind me, and Gray cleared his throat, smiling. This was so embarrassing. When all of us were seated, my father smiled and looked at everyone in front of him. So, Colt, he said, turning his gaze toward Colt, Jimmy says you wanted to see me. I was very surprised that my father knew which one of the triplets Colt was. Was he guessing, or did he actually know? Yes, Alpha, Colt said, and my father gave him a disapproving look. Duncan, Colt corrected, and in return my father smiled at him. Yes? We were wondering if you would allow us to borrow Kate for a few days, Colt said. Oh? My father scrunched his eyebrows together, a bit surprised. He didn't expect such a request. Yeah, Sam said. We would love to take Kate down to our beach house. It's not that far away from home. We want to learn to know Kate better, Gray said. In private, Colt continued. Did they rehearse that, or did it come naturally for the triplets to continue when the last brother stopped talking? Yet I had this nagging feeling at the back of my mind that there was more to this trip than meets the eye, or should I say, ears? I turned my gaze toward the triplets, and I immediately knew they were up to no good. This wasn't just a trip down to the beach, was it? Maybe we will mate with them, Kia suddenly mused, startling me. You can't be serious, I growled at her. Kate? My father called, turning his attention to me. Are you all right? I bleakly smiled. I'm fine, I said, yet he didn't believe me. I sighed. Kia, I answered his unspoken question. Your wolf is back? He asked hopefully. Sort of. She comes and goes. She isn't permanently settled in my mind. Well, that is already good news, my father said. When did this happen? When Colt refused to reject me after I asked him to, I said. Good, my father said, and his eyes suddenly widened, realizing what I just said. Did you just say you asked them to reject you? I hesitated. What do I tell him now? He was already furious about Brian being a dick. Now I asked the triplets to reject me as well. What Kate is trying to say, Sam said, turning to me and winking, is that she was sure that we would reject her due to her disability. Yet we are not interested in doing that. Kate, how could you? I dropped my gaze. He wouldn't understand even if I tried to explain it. It's a long story, Dad, I eventually said. Still, he continued, you don't just throw away such a special gift, you embrace it. Not many wolves get a second chance at happiness. If only he had known about Ethan. You are absolutely right, Gray said, and that is the main reason we would like to take Kate away for a few days. We want to gain her trust, Sam said, and show her love. We want her to understand and show her that we are her mates and we are looking beyond the wheelchair, Colt said. My father nodded, dropped his gaze, and looked at the pencil in his hands, thinking. After a moment of silence, he lifted his head. I don't have an issue with your trip, my father said. You have my permission. Thank you, Duncan, Colt said, getting to his feet. Sam and Gray followed suit. I started to push my wheelchair to the exit when my father called behind us. When will we expect you back? Colt turned his gaze back to my father. Next week, Friday, Colt said. That's for almost a week. What were they planning to do with me for 6 days? My father flinched, and the two had a stare-off. My father slowly raised an eyebrow, and Colt slowly nodded. What was that all about? Were they keeping something from me? Very well, my father said, trying hard to keep his pose. Enjoy. My father then looked back at me and sat back. Just tell your mom you are leaving, he said. She just got you back, and you haven't spent much time with her. The urgent knock on my bedroom door startled me, and I dropped my bikini. Shh! I swore when it landed on the floor. It's open, I called back, trying to pick up the piece of fabric. Wow, Kate, stop! Sam called from the door and rushed to my side. He quickly picked up the bikini and gave it to me. His eyes had already darkened. Why don't you just ask someone to help you? He asked. Like who? I asked, packing the piece of fabric into my bag. Mind link with your brother, he said casually. If only I could, I said, closing my bag. You can't mind link, can you? He asked. No, I said, looking at him. I lost that ability when... I swallowed hard. Only my parents knew about it. I was literally cut off from my pack in some way. I smelled like a wolf, but the abilities that made me a wolf and a pack member were non-existent. You survived your fall, Sam said, smiling. You do know that we are just a phone call away? He picked up my phone, held it out for me to unlock it, and I handed it back to him. He quickly entered his and his brother's numbers on the phone. Here, it's all done, he said, handing me the phone. Now you don't have an excuse to call us for whatever reason. Sam's double meaning didn't go unnoticed. So are you all packed up, or is there more stuff that needs to be packed? All done, thanks, I said, finding Sam's gaze. Sam squatted down by me, and his warm scent enveloped my senses. He slowly moved forward, and my breath hitched. Was he planning to kiss me? Sam cupped my face in his hands and pulled me closer to him. Our eyes locked, and the sexual tension grew between us with every passing second. Sam cleared his throat, got to his feet, and planted a kiss on my forehead. I shivered. He slowly moved away from me and grabbed the bags. Let's get going, he said. My brothers would never forgive me if I were your first. Colt's POV. I was at a loss for words when Kate came down the wheelchair ramp. She looked so beautiful. Her soft white floral dress hugged her body in all the right places, and her auburn hair was hanging loose around her face. She looked like an angel from heaven. She had a smile on her lips, and her eyes were full of life. I guess Sam was using his charm to make her smile. Sam carried Kate's bag to the SUV and popped it in the back, and Gray hurried to Kate's side, pushing her chair closer. It seemed like Kate was slowly but surely accepting us, and she was now letting us help her wherever we could. I shifted my head to the side, observing her. Gray must have said something, and she burst out laughing, the sound so clear and innocent that I shivered in enjoyment. I stepped closer, holding out my hand, and Kate turned her gaze toward me. A smile formed on her lips as she took mine. I pulled her hand to my lips, unfazed by my brothers looking at us, and pressed a soft kiss on her hand. "You look beautiful," I said. Kate's cheeks turned red, and she dropped her gaze. "Thank you," she said, embarrassed. She looked so beautiful with the color on her cheeks. "May I?" I asked, and she nodded. I lifted Kate from her wheelchair and helped her into the passenger seat. Sam quickly folded and lifted the chair into the back of the SUV and got in. "Let's go," he said excitedly, and I started the engine and drove off. In the beginning, Kate was quiet. She looked a bit stressed as we left the pack territory, but Sam quickly started a conversation, and I silently listened to their chit-chat. Usually, I would get Sam to shut up, but I was surprisingly comfortable with the conversation. Was I getting used to the idea of sharing Kate with my brothers, or was it because I didn't want Kate to stop talking and laughing? A smile followed on my lips as Kate said something witty to Sam. He didn't know what to say back, and he stared at her in amazement. "Did the cat catch your tongue?" Gray teased, taking over the conversation from Sam. That didn't keep Sam thinking of a comeback, and in the end all three were happily chatting about all kinds of different things while I concentrated on the road. The drive to the beach house wasn't a very long one, and we could have easily just shifted in our wolves and ran there. Everything we needed was already there, but we thought it would be more comfortable for Kate if we took the truck. My mind wandered off to our mother. She looked so certain about finding out who our mate was. What will she think when she finds out? Would she be fine with her disability? Will she try to talk me out of it, or will she accept my decision? I knew I wouldn't be able to hide our relationship much longer. My father wants to hand over the pack and retire. What will he think about her? Could I get him to agree? Or am I just worried about nothing? My gaze moved to Kate. I was already head over heels in love with her, and I knew it wasn't just the bond pulling me to her. There was something else. Something more magical, something more powerful, pulling me to her, and the sexual attraction was electrifying. "Are we mating and marking our mate this weekend?" Ray suddenly asked, startling me. I choked and started to cough like a crazy person, and I had to bring the truck to a stop. "Are you okay?" Kate asked, concerned, handing me a bottle with some water. I gulped the liquid down and wiped my mouth. "Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks," I said when I got my coughing under control. Gray's gaze caught mine in the rearview mirror, and he lifted an eyebrow. "Is your wolf also driving you mad?" His mind linked. "If that is what you call it," I replied, "then yes." "Duke is going crazy in my mind," Gray said. "He is pestering me to mark and mate." "Ray just had the same idea," I said, feeling embarrassed. The idea did cross my mind, but I wouldn't say it out loud. "Luca is quiet in mine," Sam said. "It's as if he is waiting for the right time to strike." Gray turned his gaze to Sam. "You wouldn't dare, would you?" he asked. "Dare what?" Sam asked, knitting his eyebrows together. "Try first." "Are you fucking crazy?" Sam spat angrily over the mind link, cutting Gray off. I have never and will seriously never consider doing that. How can you even think that? Fuck, man." Sam was furious, and Kate must have noticed it. "What's going on?" she asked when she felt the shift in atmosphere in the car. "Sam, why do you look so upset?" "It's nothing," he mumbled, pissed, turning his gaze out of the window. "You should apologize," I mind-linked Gray. "And say what?" he asked. "That you are sorry and didn't mean it," I said. "Why should I?" Gray asked. "If you gave him 1 second, he would mate with her." "Gray," I growled, "she is our mate, and she has the right to decide who she wants to have first." "But not him," he replied. "Why not?" I asked. "Because he's sexed many times?" I completed his sentence. "Yeah." "Well, that's still Kate's choice," I replied. "Now apologize, or so help me goddess, I will drop you off next to the road." "You wouldn't dare," he growled. "Try me," I warned him. "You wouldn't do that. I know you, Colt." I stepped on the brakes and brought the car to a halt. I turned my body sideways, looking at Gray. "Do you want to try me?" I asked seriously. What's Kate started to ask, moving her bewildered gaze between the two of us. Fine, Gray yelled, cutting Kate off. I raised an eyebrow, waiting. Sam's link is blocked, Gray mind-linked me. Let him cool off for a moment, I replied. I turned my attention to Kate. So what kind of music do you like? I asked, hoping that it would distract Kate. Kate hesitated, still looking back at Sam and Gray, but eventually decided to turn her attention to me. When we took the turnoff to the beach house, Kate's eyes widened and a new shift in atmosphere surrounded us. Was Kate excited to be here, or was she scared? Only time will tell, and I was excited to find out. Catherine's POV. Wow! I gasped at seeing the huge building come into view as we drove up the driveway. This place looked nothing like a beach house, but more like an expensive lodge. Do you like it? Sam asked, suddenly gaining personality again. It sure is something, I said. Colt brought the car to a stop. You should see the inside, Gray said, getting out of the car. Colt got out, opened the passenger door, and helped me out, but instead of sitting me down in my wheelchair, he started carrying me toward the beach house. Gray and Sam started unpacking our luggage from the back of the SUV, yet I couldn't help noticing that the two brothers weren't talking. Did something happen between them? And if so, what has upset Sam so much? I took a deep breath of Colt's intoxicating sandalwood scent and let it fill me, hoping to gain some courage. Colt shifted his weight and knocked on the door. Seconds later, an older lady in her late 40s opened the door. Alpha, welcome, she said. Your rooms are already prepared and ready. Thank you, Sally, Colt said, carrying me inside. I gasped, seeing the foyer, and I moved my head from side to side, admiring the beautiful open space. Giant sculptures of wolves carved out of white marble stood defensively in the foyer, giving a warning that this place was owned by strong and powerful wolves. Welcome to the Black Family Beach House, he said. This was just the foyer. I wondered what the rest of this place looked like. Colt carried me off to a room that seemed like the living room. It was spacious, with high white walls, expensive paintings, and comfortable light blue couches with huge pillows. The glass doors stood open, which seemed to lead onto a patio or something. This is the living room, he said, confirming my suspicion. We will go out that door in a few. I just want to show you around first. I nodded, and Colt turned around, heading in the other direction. Colt showed me the spacious kitchen, where Sally and a couple of Omega girls were busy preparing something, then showed me the dining room and study, and started toward the stairs. Up there are our rooms. A smile followed on Colt's lips, and I blushed. Colt ran up the stairs, and I yelled out, surprised. He had been showing me the whole lodge without breaking a sweat. How many rooms are there? I asked as we reached the top. There are 20 rooms on this side, he said, 10 on the other side of the beach house, and 5 loosely standing cottages. I raised my eyebrows, surprised that it was so big. Colt gave me his signature smile before he continued. As you know, my grandfather was a huge wolf, he said, and I nodded. He built this beach house for his huge family back in the day. Were there many siblings? I asked. Yes, he said, chuckling. He had 12 pups. Wow, that's a lot of pups, I gasped in amazement. True, but you need to understand that my grandfather was mated to twin sisters, he continued to explain. 6 pups each is still too many for me, I said, wide-eyed. Colt laughed. I know. What happened to all of your family? I asked. Most of my father's family found their mates in other packs, he answered. Some still live within the pack. You are not that close anymore? I asked. No, it's not that, he said, opening the bedroom door. We usually gather as a family together once a month, but when my father got hurt in the last rogue attack, we decided it was safer for everyone to stay home until it was resolved. Is your father okay? I asked. Yeah, he answered. He is fine. Colt gestured with his eyes at the room we were in. This is Gray's room, he said. The room was simple, with a calm ocean scene painting hanging on the white walls. There was a huge king-size bed against the wall with a simple but practical dark wood bedroom set. The bedding was an off-blue-gray color, screaming gray. In the corner of the room was a small sitting area and a huge TV. Colt carried me to the in-suite bathroom, and I was surprised to see how big it was. There was a huge bath and shower, and there was enough space for me to be able to move around inside. I guess, with your facial expression, you are surprised at how big the bathroom is, Colt asked. I am, I said, truthfully. I was amazed. Sam didn't lie when he said there was enough space. I will easily be able to move around, except for the stairs. Colt nodded, turned around, and carefully set me down on the bed. He then opened the heavy-duty white curtains, revealing a balcony facing the ocean. It's beautiful, I said, looking at the blue open waters. The sound of the waves breaking calmed me down, and I silently watched the waves break on shore. I was excited that the triplets would take me to the beach. I hadn't been at the beach for so long that I couldn't wait to feel the warm sea sand and the cold seawater. I looked up at Colt, finding his gaze. He came and sat down next to me. "What's going on between Sam and Gray?" I asked, finding the courage to ask. I was itching to know why Sam was so upset. "Don't worry about it," he said. "Gray is just being an asshole. I have never seen Sam that angry." Colt's body stiffened next to mine, and he released another breath. "Goddess, was it that bad?" "I'd rather let Sam or Gray tell you," he said. "Let's go look at the other rooms." I nodded and shifted my body on the bed, giving Colt access to pick me up. Colt got to his feet, picked me up, and carried me off to the next part of his tour. Colt's POV. I felt uncomfortable telling Kate why Sam and Gray were fighting. It wasn't my place. I tried to ignore the subject, but I could see that it was bothering Kate. She wanted to know, and somehow I knew she would find a way to find out the truth. I just hope I won't be around when she does. I'm not sure how she will react. Will she laugh it off as just jealousy? Or would she be angry that Sam fucked so many girls in his lifetime? Gosh, would she be angry at me for not being a virgin? I shook the thoughts off, walked down the hallway to the second room, and opened the door. The bedroom was Sam's. The room looked similar to Gray's, but Sam loved warm colors like red, yellow, and orange. His room was always messier than the rest of us, but as we grew older, he found a way to keep it cleaner, especially when he started to bring girls around. I sighed. At least the Omegas made sure the room was tidy before we arrived. Hopefully, all the evidence of his last fling has been erased. I showed Kate around the room, and she took a whiff and scrunched her nose. She then sneezed and shook her head. Shut! Could she still smell another she-wolf in his room, even if it was months ago? Kate's green eyes darkened, and something like jealousy crossed her eyes. She looked angry but recovered after a few seconds. "Does Sam surf?" Kate asked and gestured to the surfboard. Yes, he does," I said, and her facial expression softened. I knew she was trying to distract herself. "Well, we all do," I continued. "Sam just likes to keep his personal things close to him." Kate nodded in understanding. "Does the bathroom look the same?" she asked. I nodded. "And the view?" I chuckled and sat her down on the bed. Kate moved her hands over Sam's golden-colored duvet and looked at the bedroom suite. It was much different from Gray's. Sam had a yellow wooden bedroom set and bed lamps with golden wolves on every pedestal. He bought them at an auction about 3 years ago. I opened the curtains, and a tender smile followed Kate's lips. "The view is breathtaking," she said as she looked over the water. The sun was already high in the sky, and the summer breeze was humid. "It is," I said. "When we were little, my father made us choose our rooms, and we were allowed to decorate them like we wanted. Sam was the first one to choose this room. It has the most beautiful sunrises and sunsets." "Just like his scent," Kate said. "What do you mean?" I asked. "Sam smells like summer to me. Fun and warm," Kate said. "Just like his room." "And Gray?" I asked, interested to know. "Like the rain in the forest, it's refreshing," she answered. "I guess you want to know what you smell like to me?" I nodded. "Sandalwood," she said. "And it's the most dominant scent between you three. It drives my insides wild." She suddenly blushed. "I'm sorry," she said, embarrassed. "Don't be," I said, taking her hand into mine. "You smell like caramel," I said, "and it drives me and my wolf crazy." "Do I smell the same to all three of you?" she asked, dropping her gaze to her lap. "Yes," I said. "Yes, you do, and it's mouth-watering." Kate chuckled, and I suddenly wondered what she was thinking. "No wonder you all want to eat me," she said teasingly. I burst out laughing, knowing what she was hinting at. "Yeah," I said, "and I believe you would taste just as sweet." I could hear Kate's heart rate increase, and she lifted her gaze, looking at me from under her lashes. "Sam said something earlier which is bothering me," she said. "What did he say?" I asked, concerned. Some days that boy just can't keep his mouth shut. He said something about you, and Gray would never forgive him if he were my first, she said. What did he mean by that? He said what? Fuck! My heart immediately started to race and my mouth ran dry, making it hard to swallow. Sam actually had the chance to taste Kate, and he stopped. Why did he stop? Why didn't he use the opportunity? Why did he think of us? Colt, Kate whispered and touched my shoulder. I slowly lifted my gaze, looking into her green eyes. Sam, I said, sighed and shook my head. How do I tell her this without making her feel hurt or betrayed? We never had an agreement with her, and we were not her first mate, but we did look for our mate. Why was this so difficult? Why me? Why couldn't she ask Gray or Sam instead? What about Sam? She asked. Kate didn't look angry at all, but I could read uncertainty in her gaze. I don't want to hurt her, man. I just want to love her. I decided to mind-link Sam first and ask his thoughts about it before I said too much. Sam, we have a problem. What kind of problem? He asked. Kate wants to know, and I sense that she can smell other she-wolves in your room. What do you want me to do? I would rather have him tell me how to handle this situation than have him think I have betrayed him. Sam went silent at the other end of the link, and at one stage I thought he had decided to block it off. Tell her the truth, he said. The whole truth, or just parts of it? I mind-linked back. Just tell her everything, he said. I promise you she will understand. Are you sure? I asked, feeling worry creep up my spine. I am sure of it, he said. Just do it. It's better she knows now than she finds out later. If you say so, bro. I mind-linked back. My gaze met Kate's, and a tender smile followed on her lips. I guess she could tell that I was about to come clean and tell her everything. Catherine's POV. Why did Colt suddenly look so worried and uncomfortable? Was it something I said? Colt suddenly became quiet, and I guessed he must have mind-linked Sam or Gray. Will he then tell me the truth? A short moment passed, and I watched his expression. I suddenly wonder where the boys were. Did they deliberately leave me with Colt? Colt released a breath, which sounded more like he was relieved. Okay, he said. I will tell you, but you need to promise me you will not be angry. I shifted my head to the side, searching for Colt's gaze. He was deliberately trying to ignore my gaze. He must feel embarrassed. I promise, I said. Also, you need to keep an open mind, he said. I nodded, wondering what this was all about. We always knew that the chance of us having the same mate was extremely high, he said, swallowing hard. We decided the day we turned 17 that we didn't want to share a mate. That's why you gave me the option to choose one of you? I asked. That made sense. Yes, Colt answered, getting to his feet. The only thing was that Sam was so sure that our fated mate would reject him that he started looking for a chosen one? I asked. I felt a bit hurt, but I could understand. Yeah, Colt said. It's a bit more complicated than just looking for a chosen mate. I knitted my eyebrows together, a bit confused. He found a chosen mate? I asked. Was that the scent that was lingering in the air? No, not exactly, Colt answered, feeling embarrassed for his brother's sake. He sighed and took a deep breath. Sam became a man whore, Colt said. Huh? Colt raised an eyebrow. I am not repeating that, he said. Did Sam sleep around? I asked. Did I hear correctly? With different random she-wolves? Colt slowly nodded. But he didn't choose a mate? I asked, confirming that I understood correctly. Colt nodded again. Okay, I said, wide-eyed. I was a bit shocked and disappointed, maybe just a little bit jealous that Sam had done it before. What's the story with Gray? I asked. I had a feeling this was what this whole mess was about. There isn't much to tell, Colt said, sitting down. Gray never had. But you did, I asked. Color left Colt's face, and it looked like he was holding his breath. He didn't expect me to catch on that he had been with a woman before. Was he waiting for me to be angry? Upset? Throw a tantrum? Yes, I have, but my conscience got the better of me, he said, turning crimson. So let's get this straight. I looked at Colt. So Gray is scared that Sam will sleep with me before he does? He nodded and looked away. Colt looked very uncomfortable with this conversation, and I wasn't surprised. Alphas in general wouldn't easily show any emotion except anger. The only place where they could reveal any other emotion was with their mate, and because we were not marked and mated, the conversation was a bit awkward. I understand, I eventually said. I could understand the reasoning behind it. but it made it difficult. Was Colt still holding on to the old agreement of choosing, or would he allow me to have all three of them? Gosh, the idea of having all three of them started to excite me. "Are you ready to see the rest of the rooms?" Colt asked. I nodded. The next room was a guest room, further down the hallway. My luggage had already been brought up to my room, and an Omega was unpacking my clothes. Colt carefully set me on the bed, and I moved my hand over the white bedding. The room was stylishly decorated in black and white. "This will be your room for the time being," Colt said, pulling the heavy white curtains to the side. "Except if you change your mind." My breath hitched after hearing his words, knowing what he was aiming for, yet my attention was drawn to the glorious view from my window. I loved the beach, but having the forest and mountains as a view was even more breathtaking. "It's even better outside," Colt said. "You can see the ocean as well. Would you like to have a look?" "Yes, please." I reached for my chair, but Colt didn't want any of that, and he picked me up, carrying me outside. I gasped, seeing the view. I couldn't believe my eyes. Colt was right. I had a view of both worlds, and I could see the ocean and the mountains from my balcony. "Thank you," I said. Colt then showed me his room, and it was different from what I expected. He loved dark colors, like navy blue and black. I guess that fits with his personality. When the tour of the beach house was over, Colt took me back to my room to freshen up. I promised him that when I was done, I would call him. "Sam gave me your phone numbers," I said, "to be able to call you." Colt soon left, leaving me in my own thoughts. It was about lunchtime, and I knew the boys wanted to have a meal on the patio at the swimming pool. Afterward, they wanted to go swimming. "Gosh," I chuckled behind my hand, feeling my face flush red when I pulled the bikini out of my bag. "This is going to create so much trouble." "Trouble is good," Kia purred in my mind. "I wouldn't mind tasting our mates." "I have noticed that you are more active," I said, taking the chance to talk to her. "Any reason why?" "It's because of them," she said, leaving her words echoing in my mind. I quickly put on the bikini and pulled the dress over my head, then tied my hair in a bun and grabbed my sun hat. I grabbed the phone and called Colt to tell him I was ready. A minute later, Colt stood ready at my bedroom door. His eyes roamed over my dress, and his eyes darkened when he saw my bikini. Colt swiftly lifted me into his arms and carried me downstairs. What happened next had my world spinning in a whole other direction. Colt's POV. "Enough," Kate roared. I was startled at the strength of her voice, and for a moment I doubted that she was the one who said it. There was no way that such a small and fragile body could carry such a strong and powerful voice. I moved my gaze down, looking at her in pure admiration. Kate was visibly upset about the scene before us. She knitted her eyebrows together, watching as the boys ignored her order and jumped at one another. Did they not hear her? Or were they just ignoring her? Gray had already extracted his claws, and Sam was ducking out of his way. Anger radiated off Sam, and he was about to explode. Fuck, this wasn't how we planned things to go. What the fuck happened? Gray was supposed to apologize, not provoke Sam. 5 minutes ago, they were talking things out. What the fuck are they fighting about now? I said enough, Kate roared, shaking the windows. Did you feel that? Ray mused. Kia is present. She is pissed. I ignored Ray, looking at my brothers frozen in their positions. What the fuck is going on? She growled. The dirty word didn't go unnoticed, and my insides burned to give her a spanking. No Luna of mine would ever have such a potty mouth. What would the pack think, or the other alphas? Colt, could you set me down, please? Kate said, gesturing to the couch. Crap, was she smelling my arousal? I moved toward the couch, feeling Sam and Gray's gazes pinned on us, and sat Kate down. I took a seat on the armrest of the couch, trying to think of something else. What is the meaning of this? Kate scolded like a mother. This was about to get interesting. My brothers' faces turned white out of shock. They never expected that Kate would be so disappointed in them. I turned my gaze to look at her, finding her eyes pitch black, her pink lips pulled in a hard, straight line with no color, and her face hard and cold. She lifted an eyebrow, looking daggers at them. He started it, Sam yelled, finding his voice. I was trying to apologize, Gray argued. Is that what you called that insult, an apology? Sam spat. You know what? Go fuck yourself. That's all you know how to do, Sam, Gray yelled. Careful, Gray, I tried to warn him. No, Colt. Kate needs to know, Gray yelled at me. All Sam wants to do is get into her pants. Fuck, this was so embarrassing. Kate kept quiet, just observing. She didn't even flinch when Gray said those words. Her facial expression turned even colder, and I felt how Kate was expanding her aura around her. It was colorful but potent. Sam shook his head in anger. That's not true, Sam said, trying to defend himself, and stalked toward the door. I'm leaving, Sam said. I can stand Gray when he is like this. Sam, don't go, I said. We need to get this sorted. He sighed and shook his head. Not while he is so self-absorbed, Sam said, turning his gaze toward Kate. I am sorry that you needed to see that, he said. I had better go before I strangle and kill your mate. The pain was audible in Sam's voice, and for once my heart ached for his part. Good! Run off! Gray yelled, and turned his gaze toward Kate. His face fell, and he just stared at her. Sit! She hissed at Gray, as soon as Sam stalked out of the room in anger. The sound of clothes shredding to pieces followed a moment later. Did Sam just shift? Gray hurried to take a seat, and I got up and looked out the window, seeing Sam running off toward the beach in his wolf form. That was interesting. He will cool off, but first I need to get Gray under control. He had no idea what he was saying. My gaze snapped toward Gray. I was ready to give him a piece of my mind. I had enough of his poor self-control and jealousy. What were you thinking? I roared out, furious. Gray said nothing. He just stared at Kate, and Kate in turn stared back. Her face had softened, but her eyes were still black. Did Kia take control? Did her wolf return? I moved closer and waved my hand in front of Gray's face. He didn't even flinch. I did the same with Kate. Were they in some kind of trance? Was Kia doing this? I took a seat and quietly observed the two. I had never seen anything like this before, and I wondered what was happening. None of the two moved. None of the two said anything. They didn't even blink. Close your eyes, Ray said, and listen to Kate's heartbeat. Why? I asked. Just do it, he ordered. Trust me, you will find out soon enough. I sat back and prepared myself to do as Ray suggested, listening to the soft, rhythmical sound of Kate's heartbeat. I was surprised that it was so calm, even though she was so angry a few minutes ago. As soon as I closed my eyes, my surroundings changed, and what I learned next gave me a new perspective on my mate's abilities. Catherine's POV. I was startled and surprised at Kia's sudden reappearance in my mind. Gray's poisonous words were hurting Sam, and Kia whimpered inside my mind. We need to stop this now. Kia is worried. There was something in the way she came to me that told me that if we didn't stop the fight now, there could be great consequences, and we would end up hurt. Enough! I yelled, trying to stop the argument, but the boys were out of it. Sam was trying hard to control his temper, but he was losing the battle. Gray was fueling it with his insults, and he extracted his claws. The things the boys said to one another were now hurting me too. I internally gasped, seeing the bond around them weaken. What the hell? Kia's golden eyes appeared in my mind, and I felt the immense power moving through me. I shivered at the feeling. I said, "Enough." The words flew from my lips, bringing the boys to a standstill. What the fuck is going on? Colt's sweet arousal hit my nostrils, and it made it hard to focus. Seriously? Did he find this attractive? I needed to get out of Colt's arms and take control of the situation. Colt, could you set me down, please? I said, and Colt stiffened under me. He did as he was told, sitting me down on the single couch, and he sat down on the armrest. I concentrated, ignoring him and focusing on the boys. Kia suddenly took control of my mind, pushing me back, only to observe. She focused only on the boys in front of her. Sam started to talk, but I noticed that Kia wasn't listening to what he was saying, and neither was I. I was more interested in knowing what Kia was about to do. I'm searching for the problem. She answered my silent question. It's the only way. A light gray wolf appeared in my mind, and I gasped when his summer scent hit my nostrils. I was sure it was Luca. The wolf calmly walked closer. He was unfazed by the fight between the two brothers. He lifted his head, looking at me and asking why he was there. How the hell was Kia able to do this? We have not mated yet. Take your human to go and cool down. Kia's voice echoed around us, and Luca nodded, not arguing. A second later, he disappeared out of my mind, and Sam stalked toward the exit. A couple of seconds later, I could hear him shift. Gosh, that was unusually fast. Kia's presence became even more dominant in my mind, and my aura expanded around me. Was she forcing Gray to submit? Was she trying to influence him? "Sit," Kia ordered, and Gray complied without arguing. Seconds later, my surroundings changed and I was standing in a meadow. The grass was tall and green, but it was slowly withering. Is this how the bond looked between the brothers? My gaze moved to the sky, and it looked like it was about to rain. Clouds were blocking the sun, and the wind started to pick up. "Where am I?" Gray asked, and my head snapped in his direction. I didn't see him there. "Kate?" He gasped, looking at me in amazement. Why was he looking at me like that? "Yeah," I asked, pissed at him. For some reason, I had a feeling that Gray was the main reason for this argument in the first place. Why was he picking on Sam? Was it because he was the youngest? What did Sam do to him to offend him? Or was this all to do with jealousy? "You are standing," he stuttered in amazement. "I am," I asked, confused, knitting my eyebrows together. I hadn't even noticed that I was standing. I was concentrating more on my surroundings. A bit of excitement played up in me, but seconds later I shrugged it off as some delusion. "Kia," I called. "What is this place?" "Has your wolf awakened?" Gray asked, cutting me off. I looked at Gray, confused. He knew that Kia was in and out of my mind constantly. Why would he ask such a question? I ignored his question, deciding that I wanted to know what Gray's problem was. "What is bothering you?" I asked. "Nothing," he said, startled by my question. "Then tell me what your problem is with Sam." I growled darkly at him. "Now you're defending him?" Gray spat angrily. "I am not defending anything or anyone," I said. "You promised that you would control your temper." "I can't help it," he said and sighed. "When I see Sam close to you, I lose it." "Why? What did Sam do to offend you?" I asked. "I am just jealous," he stated. "Bullshit," I growled. "This is deeper than just that." Gray dropped his gaze, confirming my suspicion. "He slept with every she-wolf he could get his hands on," Gray yelled at me. Did Sam sleep with someone that Gray liked? Or was this because he believed that his brother was soiled? I calmly looked at him, moving my gaze up and down. His muscles flexed underneath his white stretch shirt, leaving me staring at his abs. He was such a handsome man, yet so set in his beliefs. I was like that, and it cost me my relationship with Brian. I will not allow the brothers to lose their bond because of jealousy over me. "I know about Sam's relationships," I said, searching his gaze. "And?" he asked. "Do you think it's right what he did?" I shook my head. "No," I said, "but I understand why he did it. I have already forgiven him. In any case, this is not my place to judge. I only became part of your lives a few days ago." Gray gasped at my words and looked at me bewildered. "I know about the deal between you three," I said. "How?" Gray gasped. I noticed another presence inside the area, and I turned my gaze to where Colt stood, confused at his surroundings. "Colt told me," I said. "Did my brother tell you that you needed to accept us all?" Gray asked, pulling his face back in disgust. My gaze moved toward Colt, and he dropped his gaze. "No," I said. "But Sam said something about it, and he doesn't want to touch me without you sharing me with you." "I don't believe you," Gray spat, disgusted. I closed my eyes, searching for the memory in my mind, and a few seconds later, we were all standing inside the memory of what had happened earlier. Catherine's POV. I silently watched Gray sink to his knees, his face in his hands. "What sorcery is this?" he whispered. "Kia," I answered. "She provided me with the ability to show you." "I told you to calm the fuck down," Colt said it angrily. "I told you that Sam isn't out to take Kate from us." "This is not how Sam is," he argued. "The Sam we know." "It's selfish," Colt said. "I know. But he changed," I said. "And you are destroying the bond that makes you brothers." "But, no," I stopped him. "Kia said that, or I will accept you all, or I will have to reject you all, else the balance will be disturbed." Before anyone could say another word, we were back in the living room, and I blinked against the bright light. The weather outside had changed, and it seemed like rain. "Gray," I said, "tell me what you saw." "I don't know what you are talking about," he said, getting to his feet. "You know exactly what she is talking about," Colt said, getting to his feet as well. "Is that the reason why you are freaking out? Why have you been an asshole nonstop?" I was pretty sure that whatever vision Gray had was influencing him to act like this, not the fact that his brother had slept around before he met me. I was sure he was using that excuse to drive Sam out. This wasn't just about him being jealous of Sam and his sluts. My heart pinched, but I recovered quickly. I can't, Gray said, turning and heading to the exit. You have to, I replied. Whatever you saw is busy coming true, and if you keep on reacting like this, Sam will leave. Colt's head snapped toward me, his eyes filled with worry. His brother might annoy the living shot out of him, but he still loved him in his own way. What are you saying? Colt asked, shaken. Gray needs to tell us, I said calmly, turning my attention to him. He was already standing at the door, hesitating. He shifted his gaze, looking over the ocean. A storm is coming, he said. I had better go find Sam. I am coming with you, Colt said. No, Gray stopped him. I need to do this myself. I messed up, and it is costing us our bond. I can feel it. Gray shifted into his wolf and took off. I grabbed Colt's arm, shaking my head. Let him go, I said. They need to sort it out themselves. What if? Gray knows the truth, I said. He will find him on time. Colt's gaze snapped back toward me, and he knitted his eyebrows together. What are you saying? He asked, bewildered. Sam is about to go rogue, I explained. He feels that he doesn't deserve to be part of your bond. Cutting it off will let you two have me for yourselves. Fuck! Colt gasped and combed his fingers through his hair. He never thought that Sam would ever react like that. As soon as Sam steps over the pack's borderline and claims to go rogue, all ties with the pack will be broken, as will all ties with his family and friends. Colt and Gray will feel the broken bond as if they were rejected, and it might even touch me. I need to go and help, Gray, Colt said. I need to tell Sam I'm sorry as well. I shook my head. If you go, I said, Sam will think that you forced Gray to go and apologize. You can talk to him later when they return. Colt became quiet and stared out the door. Do you know what Gray's vision is about? He asked. No, I said. But I know it has something to do with all four of us. I wasn't happy about what I saw in my vision, Colt said, taking a seat. He looked angry and disappointed. Sam, on the other hand, was so happy, he said. He turned into a lovesick puppy and couldn't wait to taste you. He told us how we would take turns having you. My insides burned hearing it, and I chuckled, amused. It was typical that Sam got the love vision, and the rest of us got a glimpse of something else in the future. What was your vision about? I asked, interested to know. You were standing on stage, happily waving at pack members, Colt said, and his face heated up. Something the matter? I asked. I wasn't happy with the idea that my brothers were standing with me, he said. I wanted you for myself. I could understand that. What I couldn't understand was why Colt was so fascinated by me, so I decided to ask him. We always shared everything, he said, even women. I was surprised about that, and a pinch of jealousy passed through my heart. I had never been a jealous person before, and the emotion was new to me. For once in my lifetime, Colt continued, I wanted to be selfish. Except that. Colt looked at me from under his lashes. The moment I smelled and set eyes on you, I fell in love with you. If I didn't have the self-control to control myself, I would have swept you off your chair and marked and matted you. There is just something about you. I just can't live without you. The rest of the afternoon, we quietly talked about random things. The Omegas brought us a light lunch, which was delicious, and then they brought each of us a cup of coffee with a caramel muffin. My mother baked those, Colt said. They are surprisingly good, I commented, and I popped another piece into my mouth. They smell like you, Colt said, and I blushed. Does your mother like baking? I asked, trying to change the subject. I used to help my mother in the kitchen, but I failed miserably. The chances were higher for me to burn the place down than to be able to prepare a decent meal. She loves it, Colt said. Sam bribed my mother to have those baked. He is her favorite. Colt suddenly went silent, and his face twisted in worry. Sam and Gray hadn't returned yet, and both their links were shut. Have you tried linking with them again? I asked. Colt's eyes grew wide, and he jumped to his feet. Then he dashed out of the living room without an explanation. Colt's POV. Colt, help! Sam's panicked voice pushed through the mind link. The urgency in his words didn't go unnoticed. I jumped to my feet, ran out of the sitting room, and dashed into the rain. In a mere second, I shifted to Ray and headed down to the beach. The weather had become worse, and it was pouring outside. The wind was blowing, making it hard to see. Lightning was playing over the waters, indicating that the storm would move ashore. "Where are you?" I yelled over the link. "On the west side, hurry!" Sam yelled. "What happened? Where's Gray?" I asked. Sam didn't respond, and I increased my speed. I tried to link with Gray, but his link was shut down. The rain poured harder and was washing away my brother's scents, and it became harder to track them. Fuck! I should have gone after them when I wanted to. Why did I listen to Kate? A huge cliff was coming into view, and I knew the boundary was located on the other side. Did Sam really go there? Was he really going to just give up on us? How did Kate know? Did she see it? Feel it? Or was it just a wild guess? I increased my speed when the sound of wolf growls sounded in the air. Fuck, were we under attack? Rogues never came here. The cliffs were far too dangerous for them. "Sam," I yelled over the link. "I am close to the cliffs." The sound of snarls became louder with every inch I gained. I came to a stop, searching for the way to the top. Maybe then I could see what was going on. Ray spotted a safe place, and he sprinted as fast as he could toward it. We climbed the slippery rocks with difficulty. "Sam, Gray, where are you guys?" Thunder roared around me, and the waters pushed dangerously against the cliff. Just a couple of feet. Blood drained out of me when I reached the top. I could see Sam protectively standing over Gray's body. What the fuck happened? Did he slip and fall? My gaze snapped toward the rogues surrounding them. Ray threw his head back and howled, filling the air with so much emotion that the rogues' heads snapped toward me. They didn't see me earlier, and they looked afraid. "Go, Ray," I yelled out in worry. Gray's human body lay on the boundary. What the hell happened? Ray came flying down that cliff, and as soon as he set his paws on the ground, he ran toward my brothers and took a defensive stance between Sam and the rogues. Ray growled at them, warning them to back off. Every hair was standing horizontal on Ray's back, his face cold and dangerous. 8 rogues stared back at me in surprise, but they didn't back off. "Move Gray, now," I ordered Sam. Sam grabbed Gray's body and pulled him over the boundary line back into pack territory, and a rogue pounced toward him. I grabbed the rogue around his neck just in time and tossed him against the rocks. The sound of bones breaking sounded above the thunder. The rogue whimpered in agony, but the rest ignored him, focusing on me. "What the f—" The next one, a brown wolf, came at me, and just as fast as Ray got rid of the first one, he got rid of the second. Only this one lost his life. That didn't make the rogues leave. That just excited them even more. Why the hell were they here? Ray took another protective stance. He didn't move his eyes off them. "Is Gray breathing?" I yelled in desperation over the mind link. "Yeah," Sam said. Sam had shifted back to human to check Gray's breathing and pulse. "What the fuck happened?" I asked, not moving my focus from the rogues. "Gray fell," he said, but I could sense there was more to that story than he wanted me to know. The storm had pulled over and lightning struck close above us. Seconds later, lightning hit a tree nearby, and the rogues whimpered in fear. Sam shifted back to Luca, surprisingly quickly, and came and stood by my side. "What are you doing?" I asked. "Stay by Gray's side. Protect him." "If we fight," he said calmly, "but if we fight together as brothers." One of the rogues broke free from the group and rushed toward the second rogue that had been killed. He sniffed at him, raised his gaze, and howled. "His mate, maybe?" I asked, surprised. My suspicion was confirmed when the rogue pounced towards me, landing on my back. Sam pulled her off me and killed her by snapping her neck in one swift movement. I stared at him in shock. I had never seen Luca kill anyone before. He was a lover, not a fighter. Luca walked forward and growled, his aura just as strong as mine, but something about him was different. He released a roar so powerful that it made my heart skip a beat in my chest. The rogues whimpered, turned around, and ran off. Out of breath, Ray turned his huge head toward Luca. "Thanks," I mind-linked. "No problem," he replied, turning toward Gray's body. "Help him on my back," Sam linked. I nodded, shifted back to human, and lifted Gray onto Sam's back. We took the steep road back, climbing up the cliff. Luca looked a bit miserable, and I could feel Sam's emotions over the link. He was worried and afraid about Gray's life, yet he felt bad about something else as well. I couldn't handle the spiraling of emotions any longer, and I needed to know what had happened. Sam, tell me what happened. How did Gray end up at the bottom of the cliff? I asked as soon as I could see the beach house coming into view. Sam sighed over the link, and Luca shook his massive head. It happened so fast, Colt, Sam said. 1 second he was next to me, the next. Catherine's POV. I was sitting in front of the huge, wide window looking outside. The weather had picked up, and it was now raining cats and dogs. Colt left in such a hurry that he left me afraid. I was sure that Gray would reach Sam in time before he crossed the border. I sighed. Things shouldn't have gotten so out of hand. I shouldn't have stopped Colt from going after his brothers. What if I had let him? Would Sam believe him? I shook my head, knowing that when Sam helped me earlier that morning, something was already off. He smiled and made his silly jokes, but his smiles never reached his eyes. I didn't think much of it until the drive to the beach house. I could see the pain in Sam's eyes, and when Colt brought the SUV to a stop, I knew Gray had something to do with it. Another breath escaped my lips. Kia shouldn't have told Luca to take his human out to cool off, but at that moment, she thought it was best. She never thought that Sam would keep control and run directly to the boundary. I still had this nagging feeling at the back of my head that Sam had had enough and was ready to let go. Gray felt the bond they shared shift, which meant Sam had already decided what he wanted to do. All 3 triplets' mind links were closed off. Sally tried to connect with them, but she couldn't. I am sorry, Miss Jones, but the brothers' links are closed. I can't reach any of the boys, she said. She left my side and sent an Omega with some homemade hot chocolate and biscuits, hoping to cheer me up. I was now officially worried and was nervously fiddling with the hem of my shirt. Where the hell were they? Did something happen? Couldn't they just let someone know that they were all right? I turned my wheelchair around and pushed myself toward the doors. Sally had brought the chair down earlier so that I could move around. It was now pouring worse and lightning lit up the sky. I wanted to push myself outside, hoping that I could see them. Oh, goddess, what was taking so long? Was someone hurt? I was never the most patient person around, and this sitting and waiting was now slowly driving me insane. It's because you care for them, Kia suddenly mused in my head. I guess I do, I admitted. The boys are on their way, she said. Gray is hurt, but he is fine. What about Sam? I asked. He is fine, Kia answered. He is shaken up, but fine. Thanks, I said, not bothering to ask her how she knew. Seconds became minutes, and the moment I wanted to push the chair out the door, I spotted them. Sally, I yelled. Moments later, she came running into the room. Look, I pointed. Oh, goddess, she said and became quiet. I guess she must be mind-linking someone for help. Seconds later, a group of wolves appeared, and they ran toward the triplets. Colt walked in first, rushing to my side, then Sam, his face stained with tears. What happened? I asked, reaching out to Sam. Where is Gray? Sam shook his head, unable to talk, and ran upstairs. Colt, I said, turning to him. What happened? Colt sighed, and I sensed that it was hurting him as well. Colt, I said, taking his hands and trying to get a read on him. Tell me, what happened, please? Sam was about to cross, he said, staring into nothing. Gray, but, I asked. They talked, he said, and looked at me, and they sorted their differences. Okay, what happened next? I asked. Why was Colt so worried? Was it for Gray? Kia said he was okay. Where is Gray? I asked. Is he hurt? Colt nodded and looked at his hands. Gray is taken to the rival pack hospital, he said. They are the closest. Why? I asked, feeling panic rise in me. Gray saved Sam, he said. Rogues came from nowhere. Rogues? I asked, confused. I knew there were constant attacks, but it wasn't normal for them to roam here. That was one of the reasons why my father let me come. Colt nodded. Why was he acting like that? Was he in shock? What did he see? Colt? Kate, he said, looking at me. His cold blue eyes were full of unshredded tears. I can't do this, Nari. Colt got up and started off toward the stairs, but Sam went down the stairs and he stopped. Sam? I thought. I can't, he said, walking toward me. I am sorry for earlier. Don't mention it, you were upset, I said. I understand. Sam's gaze met Colt's, and he followed Sam back to me. Gray sustained a head injury, Sam said. He pushed me out of the way. I don't follow, I said. Sam looked at Colt, and he nodded for Sam to continue. he sighed. I couldn't take it anymore, Sam said, and I tried to leave. I was about to head down the cliff to cross the border when Gray grabbed my shoulder and pulled me back. Sam let out a deep breath. He apologized, told me what you showed them, and that he was wrong. Sam looked at me, pleading. My back was turned toward the drop, and a rogue came out from nowhere. Gray saw it and pulled me out of the way, but he lost his footing and fell. I couldn't let them kill Gray, even if I was as furious at him. I call Colt. He saved my life. I found Sam standing over Gray's body, protecting him, Colt said. I took both their hands in mine, and a tender smile followed on my lips. Gray will be fine, I said. Kia told me, but I need to know if you two are? They both swallowed hard, wiping the tears from their eyes. I just can't get the image of his helpless body out of my mind. Sam sobbed heartbrokenly. My heart broke seeing Sam like that, and I pulled him closer. He kneeled down, laid his head on my lap, and sobbed uncontrollably. Colt blinked a couple of times, fighting against his emotions. I better go see, he said, and I nodded, giving him a sad but tender smile as he left. I focused my attention on Sam until late that night. Colt returned around 1 a.m. that morning, told Sam to go to bed, lifted me from my chair, and carried me to my room. I fell asleep in my chair with my fingers in Sam's hair. How is he? I asked, half asleep, as Colt laid me in bed. He is fine, Colt said reassuringly. His wolf has healed him. Colt pulled the blanket over me and kissed me on the forehead. Good night, Princess, he said, turning to leave. Colt, I whispered, stretching my arm out to him. Lay with me, please, I whispered. I don't want to be alone tonight. Catherine's POV. I woke up to the calming sound of the waves breaking on the beach, the humid, rich ocean breeze, and the aroma of a cup of freshly brewed coffee. I moaned, forcing my eyes open against the blinding white light. Good morning, sleepyhead. Colt's husky voice sounded close by. My gaze followed his voice, finding him standing next to the bed holding a mug in his hands. Coffee? I nodded and pulled myself into a sitting position. Colt handed me the mug, and I took a sip. Heaven, just heaven. Did you sleep well? Colt asked. Surprisingly, I did, I said. I was very comfortable throughout the night, and at one stage I felt the bed dip, believing that Sam had held me throughout the night, but I shook it off as my imagination. Any news on Gray? I asked and took a sip of my coffee. Man, this wolf can make a mean cup of joe. Yeah, Colt said. He came back early this morning. Didn't you hear him come in? I shook my head. No, I said. I am not aware of that. A small, teasing smile followed on Colt's lips, and I narrowed my eyes at him. Where is Sam? I asked, suddenly wondering what Colt was up to. The bathroom door flung open at that very second, revealing a half-naked Sam. Good morning, baby, he said, and he gave me a cheeky smile. My eyes widen and my face fluoresces red. I tried to hide my embarrassment by turning my gaze the other way, but he went around and picked up his shirt at the other end of the bed and pulled it over his head. My eyes widened even more. I was horrified. What the hell happened last night? I took a whiff of my surroundings, and sure enough, my bed smelled of them. Wait, even Gray was in bed with me. What the fuck? Did I have... Colt couldn't hold his pose anymore and burst out laughing. I narrowed my eyes at him, and just as I wanted to say something, Gray walked in with a tray. Good morning, beautiful, Gray said it happily. Are you hungry? I have made breakfast. I looked at Gray like he was some foreign object. Shouldn't he be in the hospital? No, he asked, looking at me in disbelief. I stuttered. My mind went into overdrive. She is in shock. She just found out we all slept in one bed last night, Colt said to Gray. Emphasis on the sleeping part, Sam said, putting his pants on. So we didn't? I squeaked out, feeling my cheeks burn. Nope, Sam said, sitting down on the bed. He moved a stray hair from my face and lifted my chin. I wouldn't have minded, though. I had an uncomfortable boner in my boxers throughout the night, but I did behave, I promise. And he sneaked in while you were sleeping, Colt said, busting Sam. You sneaked in? I asked, surprised. Sam nervously scratched the back of his head. Yeah, he said. I couldn't sleep, but when I entered, you called me and made space for me to get in. I did what? I gasped. Gosh, I never thought I would be sleeping in the same bed as my mates the first night here. My gaze snapped toward Gray. When did you get in? I asked. And where do you fit into this? Gray set the tray down on my lap, and the food looked delicious. I got in around 4, he said. The rival pack doctor checked me out, and he said I was fine and I could come home. I raised an eyebrow, not believing a word he just said. Okay, fine, Gray admitted. I sneaked off. Every cell in my body was telling me to be here with you. I couldn't let you alone with these two. Sam rolled his eyes and Colt folded his arms around his chest, both of them annoyed at their brother. Colt called the doctor and told him I was back, Gray continued. He will come and do a checkup after breakfast. I nodded. So where did you sleep? I asked. I could smell him in my bed. He took my place when I got up, Colt said, pouting. Poor baby, I said, patting the side of my bed for him to sit next to me. Did your brother kick you out of bed? He nodded his head like a small boy, and I chuckled, finding it funny. Aw, I said, that's so bad. Did you really sleep well with all of us? Sam asked, grabbing a piece of toast from my plate. Yeah, I did, I said. I haven't had such a good night's sleep in ages. Which was the truth. I had nightmares. My mind raced off to the dream I was so familiar with. Every night, I would have the same dream. I would dream of Brian, our happy days, our sad days, and then the painful rejection. As if that wasn't enough, the dream would shift to Sarah having her pup, forcing me to relive how she betrayed our friendship. Our heated arguments would always end in flames, and images of the pack house going up in flames would flood my mind. Yet that wasn't even the thing that made me scream out of fright. The thing that was haunting my dreams was the rogue who had pinned me down on the grass. Not because I was afraid of him. On the contrary, I wasn't afraid of him at all. I was afraid of the way he made me feel. Those red eyes were imprinted on my mind, and I shivered. I could still feel him on top of me. I could still feel his warm breath moving over me, smelling me. Yet, the thing that made me shiver and scream out of fear was what was behind those evil red eyes, the never-ending darkness. Kate, are you okay? Colt suddenly asked, reaching out and touching the side of my face to get my attention. What's wrong? Nothing is wrong, I said, forcing the images out of my head, and I took a bite of my breakfast. When I was done, Colt chased his brothers out of the room, and he helped me into the shower. I called him soon after. His cold blue eyes darkened when he saw me sitting in only a white fluffy towel, and for a second, I thought he would lose control, but Colt swallowed hard, picked me up, and carried and sat me back on the bed. Then he looked at me before he forced himself out the bedroom door. Colt's POV. We were having some drinks at the bar when Kate called Sam to go fetch her. We'd decided that Kate's wheelchair wasn't allowed to leave her room. She would have to rely on us to get around. I internally chuckled at my sneaky plan and sat back, taking a sip of my beer. Sam walked out on the terrace and sat Kate down at one of the tables. Kate raised an eyebrow, eyeing the drink in my hand. Isn't it a bit too early? She asked, gesturing to the ice-cold drink in my hand. I shifted my head to the side and smiled, getting off the bar stool. It's already past 11 a.m., I said, taking a seat at her table. Do you want one? I heard Sam ask, and he jumped to his feet. Only a soda, please, she said. I have never been a big fan of alcohol. The bar can make you a cocktail if you want, Gray suggested. Kate shook her head and scrunched her nose in disgust. At least I could tell that Kate wasn't a big party girl. Have at least a virgin one, I suggested. They are quite good with or without alcohol. Gray handed Kate a list of all the drinks the bartender could make. Which one should I choose? She asked. There are so many. Start at the top, Sam suggested. Then you can work your way down, Gray continued. That way you could decide which one you like best, I said, smiling. Kate nodded and turned the page over, reading. Can I have a sunrise mocktail? She asked. Do you want alcohol with that? Gray asked. Kate shook her head. You want a virgin drink? Sam asked, and Kate nodded. Then it's called a sweet sunrise, I said, and Kate blushed. We had many of those when we were kids, Sam said, and Kate's eyes widened. Some had more than others, Gray teased. Some made sure to bribe the bartender to get a shot of vodka, I said, turning to Gray. Gray laughed, knowing where I was hinting. He might be the one with the least experience with women, but he was surely the one who had the most experience with drinking. Kate caught on quickly. So I guess you like to drink? She asked. Yeah, Gray answered. Sam can't have all the fun. Gray and Sam were both in exceptionally good moods, which had me worried. I really didn't want to live through the same shot as last night. "What did the doctor say?" I heard Kate ask. "That Gray needs to get laid," Sam chirped, laughing. Gray jumped Sam playfully, and the two ended up in the swimming pool, drinks and all. Kate laughed, watching them, and my heart swelled. The bartender brought Kate's drink and set it down on the table. She looked at it and tasted it. "Not bad," she said after a moment. "It doesn't come close to you," Sam said as he was getting out of the pool. "Do you want to go for a swim?" Gray asked. By the way," I said, looking at Kate, "who helped you to your room last night?" Kate blushed and looked down at her hands. I guess she was hoping I wouldn't ask. I noticed that Kate had a change of clothes when we got back, and I knew someone must have helped her. Not that I minded. "Sally's mate," she whispered. A warning growl escaped my lips, followed by more growls from Sam and Gray. I wasn't too happy about another male touching what was mine. "I didn't have a choice," Kate defended herself, raising her gaze and finding mine. Tears were building up in her green eyes. Why did it look like she felt hurt in some way? "You left me," she said. "You all left me without telling me where you were going." What else could I do? Her words shook my soul and ended up pinching my heart. I unwillingly gasped for air, feeling the hurt and emotions in her words. "What the fuck was that?" Sam whispered over the link. He must have felt it too. "Did you feel that?" Gray asked, grabbing his chest. "That bloody hurt." "It did," I said, feeling the life drain out of me. "It's like she is feeling betrayed, and it is sucking all the life out of me." "I am sorry," Sam said, walking closer, squatting on the right side of Kate's chair and taking her hand in his. "Forgive me for being so stupid, thinking only of myself. I should never have left you." "I am sorry, too," Gray said, coming closer. His face was twisted in pain. "I should never have thought that Sam wanted to take you from me. I was only thinking of myself, not what you needed." Gray squatted on her left side, though taking her other hand. "It's okay," Kate said, and she squeezed their hands. My brothers' faces lit up, and a smile followed on their lips. "Just promise me 2 things," Kate said, shifting her gaze from Gray to Sam. "Yeah, anything," my brother said. "Promise me you will never fight over me again." "I promise," Gray said, cutting Kate off. "I will never do that again. My brothers are just as important to me as being mated to you." "I promise," Sam said next. Kate's gaze turned to mine, and she raised her eyebrows at me. She wanted me to make the same promise my brothers did. I nodded. I held Kate's gaze for just a moment, trying to read her beautiful green eyes. "I promise," I said. As soon as the 2 words escaped my lips, a warm, magical feeling moved through me. I shivered, seeing that the promise strengthened the brotherly bond between us. Gray and Sam's gazes snapped toward me, their eyes wide with surprise, asking the silent question. "I don't know what's happening," I mind-linked them. "You did feel it too?" Gray asked. "I did," I said. "What is the second promise you want us to make?" Sam asked carefully. He was, if not more, amazed at what just happened. "That none of you would ever try to break the bond between you again, no matter what," Kate said, finding my gaze. "I promise," I said. "I promise too," Gray said. Kate moved her gaze toward Sam, and for a moment I wanted to whimper that her attention was moving away from me. "Sam?" Kate's calm voice sent shivers down my spine. "I promise to never go rogue, never leave my mate, and never leave my pack and brothers. This is my promise to all of you," he said, with so much emotion that his words made my heart skip a beat. "I will make that promise too," Gray said, looking at Sam with brotherly love. "I am sorry that you thought we didn't love or want you as a brother." "Well," Sam said, blinking a couple of times, "I am the dweeb between the 3 of us." Yes, you are, Sam," Gray said, laughing and pulling him into a bear hug. "But you are our dweeb!" I got up and went to my brothers, and as soon as the 3 of us embraced, the same magical feeling moved through our bond. I turned my gaze to Kate, sitting silently watching our interaction. Then her gaze snapped toward her legs, and her face turned ashy. Catherine's POV. My heart warmed at the sight of the triplets making peace with one another. Sam looked so happy, Gray was his calm self, and Colt looked relieved. Something pulled my attention toward my feet, and I moved my gaze down. For a moment I stared dumbfoundedly at what I was looking at. Can't be? Can it? Was it possible? I felt Colt's gaze on me, and I lifted my head. Colt must have seen my shocked expression, and he was at my side in less than a split second. "What's wrong?" he asked, worried, searching for something out of place. I stuttered, out of shock. "You what?" he asked, sounding panicked. "Well, look," I forced the word through my lips. My brain was still trying to process what I was seeing. "You are moving your toes?" he asked. Yes," I said. "Seems so." I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Sam and Gray walked closer, interested in seeing what was going on. "Kate can move her toes," Colt answered their silent question. "Oh, baby," Sam yelled excitedly. "That is great news." Sam rushed to my side, pulled me into his arms, and started spinning me around in his arms. "This is the best news I have ever heard," he yelled out, and his soft, warm lips molded onto mine. I couldn't help but close my eyes and kiss him back. It felt so right. For a moment, we became lost in the kiss, and I didn't want it to end. His warm summer breeze scent was getting my insides excited, and I wanted more. I wanted to taste all of him. Oh, goddess, if Sam tasted so good, imagine how his brothers would taste. Sam suddenly realized what he was doing and let go of me. I yelled out in surprise as I slipped from his arms, falling to the ground. Strong arms caught me just before my head hit the ground. "Damn it, Sam!" Gray yelled behind him. Yet my attention had turned to my savior, Colt. Our gazes met, and his sandalwood scent was blocking out everything around us. Even Sam and Gray's argument. My focus was locked on Colt. Colt's blue orbs captured mine, and they held me prisoner. I could feel the desperation inside of him, and it touched my heart. I could no longer deny him. I wanted to taste him, feel him, and make him mine. I wanted to have them all. I slowly nodded my head, giving Colt permission. "Are you sure?" he asked. "There is no turning back." "Yes," I said, moving my gaze to his lips, and I bit mine in response. I wanted him to kiss me. I wanted our tongues to fight for dominance. I wanted to be left out of breath when we were done, and I continued when I filled my lungs with air. I slowly retrieved my gaze back to his, and my arms snaked around his neck, pulling him to me. The second his firm lips crushed on mine, the most pleasurable, warm, electric feeling pulsed through my body, awakening something inside me. My heart rate increased, and I could feel the urgency and need in Colt's kiss. Colt must have felt it too, and he deepened the kiss, our tongues exploring one another. Someone cleared their throats behind us, and another chuckled amusingly. Colt was the first to break us apart. He was panting out of breath, and so was I. "Can I have a turn kissing our mate?" Gray asked, hopefully. Colt shook his head, smiling at me. He wasn't ready to let me go. "No," he said. "I am not done yet. Wait your turn. I haven't let go of Kate yet." I chuckled, embarrassed, feeling my face flush crimson. Gray crossed his arms around his chest and sulked. He was clearly unhappy about Colt not giving him a turn. "You better go cool off," Sam said, giving Colt a cheeky smile. Colt's body stiffened under me, and his face flushed red. "Yeah," Gray hinted, "and in the meantime, hand Kate over to me." "I would like to swim too," I said, turning my attention to Colt. Our eyes locked, and the tension grew between us again. Gray growled frustratedly next to us, eyeing me with a confused expression. "Come on, guys," Sam yelled. "Get your asses in the water." Colt snapped out of it and carried me back to my chair. "Are you ready?" Colt asked, shifting uncomfortably on his feet. "Go ahead," I said, looking down. "Gray will carry me to the pool." Colt lifted his nose in the air and his eyes darkened, yet he didn't say anything. He turned and jumped into the pool. "Are you more in control now?" Gray asked, eyeing me. I nodded embarrassedly, knowing he must have scented my arousal. Bloody hell, he was responsible for it. Gray carefully picked me up and carried me toward the pool, but before we hit the water, Gray's lips were on mine, and what happened next was the most embarrassing moment of my life. Catherine's POV. An uncertain breath escaped my lips as I got ready for tonight's date with the triplets. Things were moving way too fast for me, and it was stressing me out, yet I couldn't get enough of the brothers. The bond was making it impossible to stay away from them, and the harder I tried to fight it, the harder I fell for them. Everything about them lured me in. I wanted them, needed them, and felt incomplete without them. I was in my seventh element when they were around me. I felt like I was floating when I was in their arms. I felt like I was invisible and on top of the world with just a single touch. I was aroused only by their scents, and with every little kiss they gave me, I shivered in pleasure. I was longing to be with them, and even eager to explore the rest of them. How will the mating work? I shiver just thinking about having all 3 men in bed at once. My eyes widen when I remember Gray's words and how huge all of them are. My gaze innocently moved down to my lap. Would they even fit? I was scared shitless. A knock on the door startled me, and my head snapped towards the door. Sam peeked his head in, searching the room to see where I was. A smile followed his lips when his gaze found me. My heart melted in my chest. Sam's smile and laughter were the warmest and friendliest among the 3 brothers, and I just couldn't get enough of his warm and sunny personality. He had become the light in my darkest hours, giving me enough sunshine throughout the day so that I could stay warm at night. "Are you done?" he asked, and he pushed the door open. "We are ready." "Almost," I said, picking up my soft pink lipstick and trying to get my heart under control. "You look beautiful," Sam said, walking closer and taking a seat on the bed. "Thank you," I said, feeling my cheeks warm. "Kate," he said, nervously dropping his gaze to his hands. I stopped applying the lipstick and looked back at Sam. "What's wrong?" I asked, looking at him through the mirror. "This morning," he said. "I am sorry. I didn't mean to." I burst out laughing. "Sam," I said, turning my body sideways to look at him, "don't be so hard on yourself. It was an accident." "But still," he argued, "I could have hurt." I pressed my index finger on his lips and shook my head. "I was just as much in shock," I said. "We were both lost in the kiss at the moment. Things would have been easier if I was just a normal she-wolf." "But you are not," he said. "I still feel bad." "Don't be," I said, leaning closer. "Can I tell you a little secret?" I asked. Sam leaned forward, interested in knowing what I had to say. "Yes," he said. "I am all ears." "Promise me you wouldn't say a word to your brothers?" I asked, looking at him seriously. "I promise," he said, chuckling. "I will take it to my grave." I leaned over closer to his ear and Sam closed his eyes as my breath moved over his nape. "I love the way you kiss me," I whispered in his ear. Sam shivered at my words and opened his eyes. Deep, hungry pools of blue stared back at me. "Is that all?" he asked teasingly. "No, Sam," I said with a husky, lustful voice. "I love the way you laugh. It sends shivers down my spine. I love the way your sunny personality brightens up my day. But most of all, I love the way you say my name." Sam swallowed hard, and he reached out and cupped my face. "Can I tell you a secret?" "Oh," he asked. I shifted my head into his hand, enjoying the warmth and tiny sparks coming from him. I slowly nodded, closing my eyes and holding his hand to my face. "I am in love with you," he whispered, "and I can't live without you." When I tried to leave, my heart scattered in my chest, thinking that I might never see you again. My whole life, I was the goofy brother, the odd one out, but since I laid eyes on you, I have wanted to change for the better and be the best man I could be for you. I want to see you happy, loved, and getting what you deserve. My heart silently broke in my chest as I listened to Sam, and tears burned behind my eyes. He wanted to change because of me. "Sam," I said, lifting my head. "Never change. I like the way you are, even when you are goofy and flirty." A second knock on the door startled both of us, and Gray's scent hit my nostrils first before he entered. "Come in," I said. Gray was too prim and proper to just walk in. A second later, Gray opened the bedroom door and walked in. "What's taking so long?" he asked. "I was about to dispatch Border Patrol in search of you." Sam chuckled and got to his feet. "I was just talking to our mate," he said. "Well, are you done?" Gray asked impatiently. "I assume we are for now?" Sam said, and I nodded, confirming that we were. "Great," Gray said, rushing closer, but Sam stopped him. "I'm taking her downstairs," he said, giving Gray no room to argue. "You had your time in the pool." I chuckled at Gray's facial expression. Gray snorted, crossed his arms, turned on his heels, and stalked toward the door. "I'll be waiting downstairs," he said and left. My gaze moved to Sam's, and he looked down at me. "May I?" he asked, holding out his hand. I chuckled at the gesture and nodded, and Sam swept me out of my chair and carried me downstairs. "Close your eyes," he said when we were halfway there. I looked at him, confused. "Trust me," he said, winking. "You will like it." I closed my eyes. A feeling of excitement started building up inside me, and when Sam reached the bottom of the stairs, he came to a stop. You can open them. Colt's POV. I glanced a bit uncomfortably at Gray, standing a couple of feet from me, setting up our first official romantic date with Kate. I scrunched my face in disgust. Earlier, he kissed Kate. Well, let's rephrase that. He tried. And it sucked. It was embarrassing to watch, and Sam and I needed to look the other way because both of us wanted to puke. Yeah, it was that bad. The moment Gray and Kate pulled apart, we could see that Kate felt a bit awkward. She tried to keep her pose, but we could see that she didn't enjoy that kiss at all. Colt, we're going to have to do something. Sam's mind linked. Yeah, I replied, snorting in disgust. I don't want to see that again. I knew Gray was all wait for my fated mate and all, but hell, we have shared women before. Was he that bad with them as well? Was that the reason he never looked at a woman? That was torture. Roadkill, not to mention cockkill, he said, gagging on the other side of the mind link. How the fuck is he so inexperienced? I asked. You should help him. Give him some pointers. Are you insane? Sam asked. What do you expect me to do? Push my tongue down his throat and show him how it's done? No way I'm helping him. You are his brother, I argued. So are you. Who are you? If I am the eldest and alpha, you are the youngest with the most experience, I argued, using my rank against him. I could just imagine Sam rolling his eyes at me. He was used to us using our ranks against him. We used to pull rank when we were little to get Sam to ask our mother for things. She always had a soft spot for Sam, and he always got his way with her. You might be the soon-to-be alpha, he said, but your orders do not work on me. I turned my gaze toward him. He, in turn, smiled, lifted his drink into the air, and took a sip of his beer. I rolled my eyes at him, shaking my head. Maybe if we get him drunk, he will know how to kiss a woman, I said, getting out of the pool. I desperately needed a drink after seeing that sloppy mess of a kiss. Where are you going? Kate asked, and I turned my attention to her. Gray was still holding her, and she looked like a deer caught in headlights, unsure what to make of her uncomfortable situation. My heart sank when I saw her like that. I'm getting a beer, I said. Do you want some? Sure. She said that, and I internally laughed. If I were her, I would have wanted something stronger than just a beer after that horrible kiss. Kate let go of Gray, and he whimpered as she swam away from him. She ignored his crying and grabbed a tube floating in the pool. She graciously lifted her onto the tube and made herself comfortable. Even Kate is fleeing from Gray. Sam chuckled over the link, and my gaze snapped back toward him. Well, put yourself in her shoes, I growled, annoyed for Kate's sake. You knocked her shoes off her feet with your kiss earlier, and I have made her melt in mine. Now Gray here just fucked everything up. Can you imagine? Sam suddenly kept quiet and his eyes widened in pure horror. What? I asked. What happened? If we mate, he said, knitting his eyebrows in worry. Sam, I growled over the link, seeing exactly what he was thinking. It's true, Sam continued. Kate will never want to mate again if Gray is that bad. I mentally slapped myself out of frustration. This week was all about getting to know Kate, and maybe, just maybe, we would get lucky and she would agree to accept us and mate with us. So far, it's all gone well, until Gray. I sighed, took drinks from the bartender, and headed back. I handed Kate her beer and walked to where Sam was sitting under the umbrella. My gaze landed on Kate, minding her own business. She looked a bit worried and deep in thought. Was she processing everything that had happened today? So what do you suggest we do? I asked Sam. You have the most experience in that department. I bloody don't know, he said. Maybe we should give him one of those romantic movies and tell him to get some tips. I slowly turned my gaze toward Sam, rolled my eyes, and shook my head. You know Gray watches action and horror movies, I said. How are you going to get him to watch some sloppy romantic movie? A sly smile followed on Sam's lips as he lifted his gaze towards me. We will have a date night, he said. We will all watch it. You can't be serious, I growled, annoyed at his idea. I was even less of a fan of romantic movies than Gray. I am serious, he said, getting all excited. Kate will love it. Hold on, I said, turning my gaze toward Sam. So you want to do a romantic movie night with all of us? Yeah, he nodded his head, certainly. It will be fun. Gray can get some pointers, and we could take turns making sweet love with Kate's mouth. It's a win-win. Is everything set? Sam's mind linked, breaking my chain of thoughts. We are about to come down. My gaze snapped toward the stairs, hearing Kate's bedroom door open and close, and soon enough, I heard Sam telling Kate to close her eyes. The excitement started to bubble inside me. I couldn't wait to see Kate's expression when she opened her eyes. Catherine's POV. "Oh, wow!" I gasped in awe, seeing the living room being rearranged into a beautiful romantic area. The couches had been moved backward, making room for a huge blanket and pillows on the floor. A table was set in the center and was beautifully decorated with candles and red and white roses. The walls were decorated with fairy lights, making it even more romantic. Sam carried me closer to the table, and Gray helped him set me down on the pillows. I moved my gaze from corner to corner, taking everything in. The triplets went out of their way to make our first date memorable. "This is beautiful, guys," I said. "Thank you." "Not as beautiful as you," Gray said, catching me off guard. He came to sit next to me. I blushed, trying to hide my discomfort. "We hope you like it," Colt said, taking a seat on my other side. "This is just the first part of our date," Sam continued. "Wine?" "Oh," I said, nodding. And Sam filled my wine glass. "What will we be doing after?" "You will see," Gray said, taking my hand. "It will set the mood." My eyes widened, seeing Gray close his eyes and push his lips forward toward me. My heart races, getting worried. I don't want to start my date like this. "Ah," Colt said, saving me from the awkward situation. "Food is ready. We hope you like what we asked the kitchen to prepare," Sam said, setting down the bottle. "We will take you out on an official and proper date when we get back to the pack." "I don't think the date will ever be as memorable as this one," I complimented. "We will just have to wait and see," Colt said. A second later, the Omegas entered the room with our food, and I couldn't help but smile. I was an easy person to please in the food department, and a good steak could literally bribe your way into my heart. "Dig in," Colt said, and I didn't hesitate. The food looked delicious. When we were done eating, Colt and Sam moved the table, and Gray made himself comfortable next to me. Sam didn't like that idea, and he squeezed himself between us, and Colt took a seat on my other side again. Gray growled frustratedly, yet Sam ignored him. "You had your turn," Colt said. Gray sighed, annoyed, and picked up a tray. "Snack?" he asked, and he handed me a tray with different kinds of snacks and sweets. "No thanks," I said. "I'm fine for now." "So," Colt said, and I moved my attention to him. "Due to us being so far away from the nearest town, we can't go to the movies like normal people do on a first date. So we brought the movies to us," Sam continued, and he lowered the projector screen. "And we made sure we had popcorn to go with the movie," Gray said, bringing popcorn forward. "And we have made sure to have your favorite flavor of slushy puppy," Sam said, lifting it into the air. I laughed. I only mentioned it once to Sam. "And obviously we have some M&Ms for dessert," Colt said, lifting his eyebrows up and down. I chuckled with amusement. "So what movie are we watching?" I asked, curious. "Never Been Kissed," Sam said innocently, and I giggled in response. "Interesting choice," I managed to say, looking at Gray. Gray gave Sam a dirty look and turned crimson. I guess he didn't know what his brother was planning. I was surprised that Gray was so inexperienced. Such a big, handsome wolf should at least learn how to kiss a woman. I just couldn't see why those women didn't fall over their feet for him. Were the brothers doing this on purpose? Did they see what happened earlier? Did they know he was that bad? My gaze caught Colt's sneakers behind his hand. He was trying hard to keep his face straight, but I could feel his body lightly move next to me as he laughed behind his hand. Sam switched on the movie and gave Gray a sly look. That confirmed it. This wasn't just a date. This was a setup to give Gray pointers. I sat back, making myself comfortable against the pillows. About 15 minutes into the movie, Colt stretched his arms out around my shoulders. I shivered, feeling the small electric tingles run between us. Colt pulled his attention away from the screen and toward me, a smile playing at the corners of his lips. "You are shivering. Are you cold?" Colt asked concernedly, pulling me closer to his side. Sneaky, I thought. Colt must definitely have planned this. Yet I didn't mind. I welcomed it. "Yes," I whispered back, pulling my body upwards to lay my head on Colt's hard, firm chest. Colt pulled a white and blue striped blanket closer and threw it open over me. "Better?" he asked, planting a small kiss on my head. I said, getting intoxicated by his powerful, dominant scent. I was about to fall asleep when I felt Sam move behind me. "Are you cold, baby?" he whispered in my ear. "Should Daddy keep you warm?" "That sounds, I said, snuggling even more into Colt's side. Sam's arms snaked around me and his body molded around me. I was extremely comfortable lying there, and I could feel Kia moving around in my mind. She must know that the boys were holding me. Sam moved my hair out of his way, exposing my shoulder, and then started his sweet torture with his mouth. A moan escaped my lips as I enjoyed his warm, soft lips assaulting my neck. "I want to mark you here," Sam said, moving his fingers over my marking spot. I shivered, thinking of how good that felt. "I want to mark you too," Colt said, moving his fingers below the same area Sam just marked. My body stiffened under Colt's touch, and I lifted my gaze, finding his blue orbs staring down at me. I slowly turned my head, looking at Sam. He carried the same hunger in his. Were they about to mark me? Catherine's POV. A small moan escaped my lips when a warm and cozy bright light desaturated my wonderful dream, and I unwillingly dragged my eyes open, blinking against the light. My hand snapped toward the side of my neck. Last night ended with a bit more than just kissing, and my pussy throbbed just thinking about it. The triplets left hickeys on my marking spot, promising me that they would mark me as theirs as soon as they took over the pack. A soft smile followed on my lips as I remembered how beautiful and memorable the night was. I laid back, looking at the ceiling, and my gaze caught something out of place. For a few seconds, I lay there purely confused as I tried to focus on what I was looking at. Why does everything look so different in this room? I blinked a couple of times and rubbed my eyes, hoping it would help me focus. This wasn't the room Colt gave me, which was the first thing I noticed. The last thing I could remember was being in the living room and falling asleep in my mate's arms. How the hell did I get here? Did the triplets carry me here? Were they playing a prank on me? I carefully pulled myself into a sitting position and pointed my nose into the air, taking a whiff of my surroundings. To my surprise, I could only recognize one other scent, which didn't belong to any of the triplets. Odd, I thought. The scent was familiar, yet I just couldn't place it, and something felt extremely off about me being in here alone. I scanned the room for any other clues as to why I was there, and the only thing I could find was that the room was clean and tidy. Even my wheelchair wasn't in the room. There was no evidence of any other person or even my personal things. Did one of the Omegas maybe carry me here? Was it Sally's husband? I shook my head, knowing that I would recognize their scents. "Hello?" I called out. "Is someone there?" When no one answered me, I started to search for my phone, hoping I could find it, but I gave up soon after, knowing it wasn't there either. The door suddenly clicked open, like it heard my call, and the familiar scent pushed through the door. My heart rate started to peak. A feeling of fear took over, and my eyes widened as soon as I put one and one together. Brian entered the room, all strong and mighty. His hair lay in oily strings over his face. This can't be. Brian is locked up in the dungeon. He was to be executed soon. A sinister smile followed Brian's lips when he noticed that she sat frozen on the bed. "Did you miss me?" he asked, looking me up and down and licking his lips. He suddenly turned toward the door and gestured for someone else to enter. The air was knocked right out of my lungs, and I struggled to breathe when my gaze fell on the second person. Ethan, my second rejection. The familiar scent in the room. Panic rose in me when I noticed that both their eyes were bloodshot and foam was dripping down their once perfect mouths. Are both of them rogues? Are they the same ones who attacked our pack? What the f*** is happening? How do they know each other? What the fuck do you want from me? My body ran cold and I shivered in fear. Both of them had the look of death written in their eyes. Were they here to murder me? A cold smile followed Brian's lips as he stepped forward. "Accept me," he growled, "or accept the consequences of your choice." "Never," I yelled, pulling the bedsheet under my chin, trying to hide the fact that I was shot scared of them. "You will do as I say," I roared, pouncing and penning me down with the bed. "You are mine," I struggled, fighting with all my might against him. "Let me go, Brian," I yelled. "You rejected me, remember?" Ethan stepped closer with the same sinister smile as Brian's. Why was he doing this? He saw me as a misfit, as a wolf. Why suddenly change his heart? "The game is over," he said. "No," I yelled, struggling against his hold. Fear kicked in, and I fought against him with everything inside me. "Help!" I cried out in desperation. "Let me go, Brain!" "No!" Brain pinned my hands above my head, his warm breath moving down the side of my face, inches from my ear and nape. "You smell so delicious," he said, inhaling my scent, and his eyes rolled over. Ethan walked closer and got onto the bed. Brian gave Ethan access to me, and he moved his finger down my face. I struggle, moving my face away from him. "I shouldn't have rejected you," he said, inhaling my breath. "You are too important." "What do you want?" I managed to force myself out, feeling tears building up behind my eyes. "You," both growled. "Why?" I yelled at them. "You didn't want me in the first place. You rejected me like I was unworthy to be your mate." "But things have changed," Ethan said, licking his lips. "Our wolf didn't tell us how special you really were. I will never accept you," I yelled out in disgust, feeling the tears spill over and burn down my face. "Suit yourself," Brian said, and he extended his canines ready to mark me. "No," I screamed. "Calm down, child," Kia said, startling me. "It's only a dream, a warning." My eyes flew open and I blinked bewilderedly against the light, my heart pounding out of my chest. "A warning?" I cried out, feeling my body shake out of fear. "Yes, dear," Kia said. I could feel her becoming stronger in my mind with every visit. "Mother Moon sent you a glimpse of the future." Catherine's POV. The bathroom door flew open and crashed against the wall, revealing a bewildered, naked Sam. "What? What?" he yelled. "Where's the fire?" Sam misjudged himself and slipped, fell, and accidentally displayed his huge manly package. "Fuck!" I internally growled as my eyes widened. Gray didn't exaggerate about how huge they were. I wonder if all three of them are the same. I gawked at Sam's crotch, feeling warmth grow down in my pit. My mind was about to wander when my bedroom door flew open, and my gaze snapped to where Colt rushed in, followed by Gray short on his heels. "What's going on? What happened?" Colt asked, looking between the two of us. "Sam," Gray darkly growled, shaking his head in disappointment. "It's not what you are thinking," Sam defended, trying to get to his feet. Gray noticed the puddle of water and went closer, helping Sam to his feet and handing Sam a towel. "Thanks," Sam said, wrapping the towel around his waist. I unconsciously licked my lips as my gaze wandered down Sam's beautiful, crafty body. "Oh, goddess," I moaned. Gray chuckled behind his hand. Sam smiled, feeling not a bit embarrassed at all. He acted like everything was normal. And Colt, well, he had this awkward smile plastered on his lips. "Then tell me what I should be thinking," Colt asked. "I heard Kate scream," Sam started. I had barely left her side for a minute to take a quick shower when I heard her yell out for help. I thought she was under attack or something. Colt's gaze snapped back toward me, and as he slowly came closer, he knitted his eyebrows together. "Are you all right?" he asked. His voice was quiet yet tender. He gently rubbed the tears from my eyes with his thumb, then carefully lifted my chin to look at him. I slowly nodded and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. "What happened?" Gray asked. "Nightmare," I said, embarrassed, dropping my gaze to my nervous fiddling hands. Everything looked so real. I could still smell Brian and Ethan's once intoxicated scents around me, their hands on me, and their voices sounding in my head as if they were still there. Colt must have sensed that I was withholding something and took my hands in his. "You know that you can share everything with us," he said. "Even what happens in your bad dreams, if it would help." I sighed, ignoring the sparks between us. I needed to think rationally about this before I decided what to do. My gaze met Colt's, and it became filled with worry. How do you tell the triplets that my first and second mates were haunting my dreams? How will they react? Laugh it off as nothing? I need to call Jimmy and find out if Brian is still safely locked up in jail before I tell the boys about any of my dreams. I was pretty sure I would be getting more. My mind raced toward what Kia said. The only problem was that she never told me when it was about to happen. How much time do I have? Realization suddenly kicked in, and my eyes widened in fear. Telling the triplets that it was a glimpse of the future and mentioning what Brian and Ethan were about to do would... My heart suddenly started to race as I imagined Colt losing his shot. Gray is going crazy, and Sam? I swallowed hard and moved my gaze to Sam. He looked so worried about me. I stretched out my hand to Sam, and he came closer, taking my hand. "I am sorry for scaring you," I said. "I didn't mean to worry you." "You are forgiven," Sam said, pressing a small kiss on my hand. I gave him a small smile in return and let go of his hand, turning my attention back to Colt. Colt looked at me with so much love mixed with worry that it was painful to watch under his cold, hard gaze. "I am fine," I said, trying to be brave. "I promise." I have always been brave, but after I have been hurt so much and been stuck in a wheelchair, I have lost that part of me. I will fight, I decided. I will become what I was even if I am stuck in this wheelchair forever. I will not give up. It doesn't matter how hard it is. Colt knitted his eyebrows together and narrowed his eyes. He was trying to read me, but after a short moment his gaze became blank. Then he suddenly nodded his head and turned toward his brothers. "Sam, are you done in the bathroom?" he asked. Sam was quietly lying against the doorframe, observing us. "Yeah, I am done," he answered lazily. "Good," he said, turning his gaze toward Gray. "Ran a bath for Kate." Gray nodded, not arguing, and headed toward the bathroom. "What do you want me to do?" Sam asked, getting out of Gray's way. "Get dressed first," Colt said, raising an eyebrow. "Then get some comfortable clothes out for Kate." Sam nodded and rushed toward the exit, disappearing into the hallway. "What are you planning to do?" I asked. Yet Colt must have heard the double meaning in my words, and his gaze snapped toward me. My cheeks flushed under Colt's gaze, and a small, cheeky smile followed on his lips. I carefully wet my lips, waiting for an answer. "I'm helping you into the tub," he said, watching me intensely. "Is that all?" The words escaped my lips. I was now playing with fire, and I was begging to get burned. Colt's eyes flickered between blue and black, and my heart leaped out of my chest in response. Ray must be fighting for control. He will certainly mark me if I keep on teasing him. Colt's scent suddenly intensified, becoming intoxicating to my senses. I shivered as I inhaled his scent, feeling like I had become drunk just from his scent. Everything around me started to blur. The noises around me were just a murmur. Colt moved his finger down my jawline, and I shivered, feeling the sparks intensify under his touch. I willingly shifted my head to the side, giving him access to the nape where he left his temporary mark. A moan escaped my lips. "Enjoy the lovely feeling." You smell so good," Colt said, moving closer. My breath hitched when Colt stopped inches from my nape. I could feel his warm breath moving over my marking spot. "I know you are hiding something from me," Colt suddenly said, and I jumped out of fright. I was so lost in the moment that I didn't expect Colt to suddenly say something. Colt sat back with a broad smile on his lips and crossed his arms around his chest. I dropped my gaze, nervously fiddling with the blanket. "Are you going to tell me the truth?" he asked seriously. "Or should I drag it out of you?" I lifted an eyebrow in response. "And how are you planning to drag the information out of me?" I asked sweetly. "I have my ways," he said. "Well, Mr. Big Bad Alpha," I said, looking him straight in the eyes, "I will tell you when I am ready."